Hi guys, good evening and welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host Eddie, and in tonight's video I will be giving you my sadly very disappointing and low energy film review for the latest horror film to grace the big screens earlier tonight, which I saw a screening of earlier, The Nun II. Very upsetting. Before I get into all of that, of course, please be warned, this is a spoiler-filled review, so if you haven't seen The Nun II yet and you plan to, I would advise against it, but if you plan to watch it and judge for yourselves, be warned, this is a spoiler-filled review, so don't listen to or keep watching this video if you plan to see this movie opening weekend, because I'm going to be talking big spoilers and plot details in this video, so you have been warned. That being said, let's dive right back into it. You would be better off rewatching the first Nun movie or any of the Conjuring films, at least the first two Conjuring films and the first Nun movie, than watching The Nun II. It was very, very disappointing. You know, for a movie called The Nun II, the nun herself, Valak, is hardly in it. And when she isn't that scary. She's got some cool moments where she shows off her sharp teeth and she roars and she does this with her head and her arm to like move somebody across the room or drag them or whatever, and that's kind of cool, but it doesn't last very long. And then my buddy and I, we saw it together and we were talking about it, and there were a lot of plot holes and inconsistencies. Like, she's after this relic called the Angel's Eyes, or the Eyes of Saint Lucy or something like that, but they're not literal eyes, but they're like godly or angelic powers. And if she's a demon, can she even use those powers? Is that even possible? And she seems pretty powerful enough. You know, why would you go after something that's godly or angelic or spiritual that could destroy or hurt or kill you? You know, it just makes you wonder. So there were a lot of plot holes and inconsistencies. And then the ending, you know, Maurice is supposed to be the guy who's possessed by Valak because he's the one that the Warrens eventually investigate, and Lorraine has her terrifying vision of Valak, showing her the vision of her husband's supposed death, which never happens, but it was just a vision that was made possible by Valak. And so by the end of this film, The Nun II, Valak is seemingly defeated and it doesn't possess Maurice anymore, which doesn't make sense because it totally changes, you know, the first two Conjuring films. Like, the first Conjuring film teased Valak, and then the second film, she had a very big role in that, you know, and then we got to see Lorraine's vision, which made her scream so much, which was, you know, her husband's supposed death, which never happened. So there are just a lot of things about this movie that did not make sense, you know, from a plot point of view. And it wasn't very scary either. Like, the best jump scares they showed in the trailer, like with the girls looking in the other room and seeing Valak standing there, or in this case in the film, their dead former headmistress, and then the arms reaching through and grabbing the girl by the face. And then it's like the big jump scare, which would have been a lot more effective if they hadn't shown it in the trailer, was the magazine rack stand scene, which is the magazines flying in the wind with Sister Irene there, and then the nun appearing out of nowhere when she turns around. It's like, that should have been saved for the movie, but they revealed it in the trailer, and I didn't mind that at first because I thought, ooh, these are the kind of jump scares and scenes we'll get in this movie. All right, this is a taste of what's to come. But then that was it. You know, there's a couple other scenes that made you go, ooh, but they were more like surprises and not actual designated scares. The whole movie was just a real big letdown, and even in the exciting final act, the showdown with Valak and the nuns, you know, okay, I get it. They bless the wine, they make the wine holy or whatever, and that's what incinerates her. But they were just and then, like, Valak is hardly in it. For a movie called The Nun II, you'd think you'd see the nun a lot, but she's hardly in it. She's in a few scenes, and then they save her for the big final act, and then she's destroyed, supposedly, and she doesn't possess Maurice anymore, which kind of contradicts the first two Conjuring films, because it's their investigating his possession is what introduces them to Valak in the first place. So how does that happen? I don't know. It was a bad movie, guys. This is a very weak entry, a low point for the Conjuring franchise. You're better off rewatching The Conjuring or The Conjuring 2 or The Nun, the first one, The Nun, because that one was far more entertaining and much scarier and made a lot more sense for that matter. But this one, it was just such a letdown for so many levels. So I say, do not see this movie. I hate to say that about a horror movie character who I really enjoy, because I do like the character Valak a lot. You know, she's great in the Conjuring films. I really enjoyed her in her first film, The Nun. But boy, this movie was a letdown. You're better off watching The Nun than watching The Nun 2. That's all I'm saying. Just rewatch The Nun and pretend The Nun 2 doesn't exist. That's what I'm going to do. So that's what I thought of this film. Wish it was better. Could have been a lot better. Could have been a lot scarier too, but it was just very sadly lacking. So I hope if you've seen it, you enjoyed it more than I did. If so, tell me why. But if you didn't, also tell me down below in the comment section why you didn't care for it either. I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback on it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your night. The Nun 2 is now playing in theaters. You can skip it, but maybe you want to watch it and judge for yourself. Totally up to you. Have a great rest of your night. Thanks again for watching. And of course, until next time, what's your favorite scary movie? Sure shit ain't this one.